Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, where we have conversations about education, leadership, and building a school of excellence. The goal on this show is to bring you clarity, up-level your mindset, and give you practical strategies and inspiration so you can show up with confidence and trust your decision-making. I'm Chani Olshansky. I'm a mom of 4 under 10, a former New Yorker, and been in the early childhood field my entire life. And I'm so grateful that you've joined me for this conversation. Hey there, welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you today because today's episode is all about how to prevent overcommitting during this holiday season. So the way that the holidays fall out this year is actually the second to last week in December. The whole week is the Hanukkah celebration. So for those of you that celebrate Hanukkah, that falls out that week. And then the Christmas holiday and New Year's falls out the week after, as it always does every year. And so because both Hanukkah and the Christmas and New Year's holiday all fall around at the same time this year, I thought it was a great time to record this podcast episode on how to prevent overcommitment this holiday season. So what happens many times is many leaders overschedule themselves weeks in advance of the holiday season. And so they kind of make all these commitments without really looking at their calendars. So it'll be like, oh, we need to do 4 holiday parties in school. And then we need to do this holiday party with this family member. And this person invited us and that person invited us. And we're having a holiday party with the neighbors on the block. And then my son's baseball team is doing something, so I got to go to that one. And then, oh my gosh, my childhood friend is doing something and she's in town, so we got to go there. And so we overschedule, overcommit, and then we actually don't get to have any time to rest and really enjoy the parts of the holiday that are important to us. So I want to talk about how to plan our boundaries so we don't get overbooked and we can have time to celebrate and also have a restful season. Really need to understand how we're prioritizing family, religious traditions and rituals, and also fitting in time for rest, rejuvenation, recovering before we go to the next thing. And so it doesn't matter what your religious affiliation is when it comes to the holiday season. We all have different routines, rituals, and traditions that are important to us during this time of the year. And so we want to make sure that we actually have time for those things that are important for us, time to create new rituals and new traditions that we want for our own family, not just from our families of origin. So let's get started. I'm going to share with you 4 key pointers. Number 1, plan early and prioritize. What does that mean to plan early and prioritize? Well, the first thing is when you're creating a plan is you're actually looking at the calendar and saying, okay, what do we want to do? Okay, what is our intention when it comes to the holiday season? Do we want this year to make sure that we join one community holiday party? So many times, if you live in a community, there is something that's done by the community or by the city or whatever it is. You want to go to one of those community events. So Mayor and I, we always want to go to at least one public menorah lighting. So in our city, there are multiple public menorah lightings. There's one at City Hall. There's one at the Art Walk. There's all these different menorah lightings. And we like to go to at least one public menorah lighting. And so we make time for it in advance. So even though the list doesn't come that much in advance of like where the menorah lightings are going to be and what days they're going to be on, we like to decide in advance, okay, we know we're going to do one menorah lighting. So prioritize and plan in advance is what are the non-negotiables? Okay. What are the things that we know we want to do? We want to do one just family party. We want to do one thing with our kids' school. We want to do one thing with the community. We want to do one thing with extended family. Right. And so you're choosing in advance what are the experiences and kind of parties that you want to go to. Then you want to decide, okay, what else goes into our holiday season? When are we buying gifts? When are we wrapping gifts? When are we going shopping? When are we creating lists? If we're cooking and hosting, when are we making the menu? When are we going shopping, right? All of these things take time. You can't just write on your schedule, hosting holiday party. There's like 100 tasks associated with doing that. When are you going to do it? So this goes into my second thing, which is managing your work and personal task load. When you say yes to hosting a party, you're saying no to a whole heap of other things. So when you say yes to hosting a holiday party, you're saying no to maybe chilling one night and kicking up your feet and watching Netflix. And maybe you do that every night. But if you are planning a holiday party, one night you're going to have to say no to that, because you're probably going to have to use that night to go grocery shopping, or use that night to do menu planning, or use that night to get started on one of the dishes that freezes well. What you need to remember is that when you go into a holiday season where there's more things being added to your plate, you're going to have to look at your usual routine and decide what you're saying no to, because you can't just put more stuff on your plate and magically come up with more time. So you're going to be saying no to something. So you're either saying no to sleep, less hours of sleep, or you're saying no to spending time with your kids, or you're saying no to the carpool line, or you're saying no to cooking dinner. And maybe you're going to do takeout for a couple of days so that you have time and space to cook for the holiday dinner. Time doesn't just appear. When you say yes to doing any of these beautiful holiday traditions and rituals, you're saying no to other things. And when you can plan and prioritize in advance, you can be intentional about what you're saying no to. But what you have to remember is this is how you pay for overcommitment. All right. I want to explain to you the price of overcommitment. Because if you say yes to all these things and you don't say no to other things and remove other things from your plate, here's how you pay for it. You pay for it in your focus, you pay for it in your attention, and you pay for it with your quality of your own emotional regulation. So what does that mean? Well, when you're overcommitted, you're more frazzled, okay? You come into the room and you're like, why did I come in here? You go grocery shopping and you forget the most important item on your list. It's like, how did I forget that? Well, there's too many things going on in your brain. That's one area that you pay for it. You pay for it in your attention, the attention that you give to your partner, your kids, other important people in your life. You have less attention for them. So things get overlooked. So your child might come to you and say something that's really important to them, and you completely dismiss it, not because you don't care, but because you lack attention and capacity, because guess what? Your brain is full. And the last way that you pay for it is with emotional regulation. You have less patience for other people's idiosyncrasies. You actually stop liking people. You're like, okay, I don't need to be, I can't be next to you right now. Where does that come from? It comes from overcommitment. So if you're listening to this episode and you're already in that state of being, my friend, sit down, reprioritize, and figure out what's happening. We actually have a whole training on this. It's called the Ideal Week. The link is in the show notes. You can check it out. It's an entire 90-minute workshop training with a guided workbook. So if you're like 90 minutes, I don't have time to watch a 90-minute training, no problem. Just take the workbook and work through the workbook and watch the training at a different time. The Ideal Week is going to help you understand how to use the priority matrix, how to prioritize what is urgent, what is not, what could be intentionally pushed off, like really understanding how to prioritize what's in front of you. That's the second thing, okay? Plan early and prioritize, manage your work and personal tasks. Hey there, school leader, and specifically to you directors and assistant directors and maybe some administration that listens to this show. I have something special called the Time Management and Accountability Bundle. I know that many of you during this season are struggling with holding staff accountable. You want to be able to set up the right reminders so that you don't have to consistently chase after staff to get things done. You want your to-do list finished, and you also want to be able to hold parents accountable among heaps of other things that need to get done. So we have created the Time Management and Accountability Bundle specifically for you. In this bundle, we give you scripts, templates, some micro trainings. Really, each particular training that is part of this bundle is short and actionable, so you can immediately execute in your center and start getting results. For access to your own time management and accountability bundle, click the link in the show notes for more information. Number 3, I think this is one of the most important ones. Maintain your self-care rituals. What does that mean? Whenever I go into the holiday season, so there's kind of 3 big holiday seasons for me. There's the high holiday season, which is September, October time. There is the Hanukkah season, which is typically in December. And then there is the Passover season, which typically will fall out end of March, April time. So those are the three big holiday seasons for me. And there are very specific self-care rituals that I have on a regular basis, but that I also increase during holiday season. What does that mean? Well, if you have a self-care routine where you go walking every day, or you do Pilates twice a week, or you go swimming, or you have a weekly massage, or you go for a weekly manicure, or you get a monthly facial, or whatever, right? Whatever your self-care ritual is. And then you decide that during the holiday season, that's the thing you're going to let go of, right? So what I just said a couple minutes ago, right? Where you have to decide if you say yes to this, you're saying no to this. What happens a lot is people say no to their quote unquote extra self-care routines. They're like, oh, I'm going to skip the massage this week. I'm going to skip swimming. I'm going to skip the Pilates class. I'm going to skip the massage. I'm going to skip the date with my husband. I'm going to skip the phone call to my good friend. I'm going to skip coffee date with my neighbor. So we choose those things to skip. Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, those do not get skipped. Those are the anchors that will keep you sane during the holiday season. Don't let go of your self-care rituals. You need them during high pressure, high stress situations. So some of you are listening like, no, the holidays are not high stress for me. Guys, it doesn't matter what you do for the holiday season. There is an influx of energy that happens during this season. Okay. There is an influx of messages that are being inundated to you. There is sensory overload that happens during a holiday season. Whenever you go outside, you go into the mall, you go to the grocery store, there's a sensory overload that happens. So even if you're not overcommitting, the environment is throwing things into your face that your mental capacity gets clogged. And so you need to maintain the anchors in your life. We actually have a podcast episode called Anchors versus like what your anchors are. I forgot what episode it is, but definitely go check that out. There's a whole episode on how to choose your anchors and your non-negotiables. During the holiday season, you need to maintain your self-care rituals. And so thinking about what is important, what do I actually have to keep during this season, and maintain them. Number 4. Set expectations and communicate them. So once you decided these are our expectations, okay, these are going to be the way that we are going to operate during our holiday season. Now you're going to communicate them with the people you need to communicate with. So if you have to call your parents or your in-laws or your brother or your uncle or the neighbor or the school or the boss or the coworker or whoever, you have to call and communicate and explain to them, this is what we're doing this holiday season. The reason you actually have to communicate is because avoiding it does not work. It doesn't help. It doesn't work. It's not good for you. It takes up your mental bandwidth. You need to communicate what is going inside, what you're deciding to do during this holiday season. Now, the last thing I want to share with you when it comes to preventing this overcommitment during this time is really understanding how to practice discernment as you're moving through the holiday season. So what do I mean by that? What happens a lot of times is we create the plan and then we become very rigid with the plan. So I'm not telling you not to stick to your plan. I think it's very important to stick to the plan, not change the plan. But you also need to be able to practice discernment and say, okay, is this a moment where we have to say 3 of our kids are tantruming, everyone is exhausted from the night before, we didn't anticipate that last night's party would go so late and the kids would only go to bed at 1 a.m, and now they're exhausted, and we promised this and this person we were going to come for brunch, but everyone is shot. It's practicing discernment in that moment and saying, do I need to change the plan? Do I need to go and communicate that we're actually not going to be able to make it? The all or nothing approach, the black and white thinking approach around, well, we made the plan, well, we made the promise, well, we said we were going to go. Yes, you need to keep promises. You need to keep commitments. I am never going to be a person that's going to sit on a mic and pontificate about not keeping promises. You need to keep your word. That's how you create integrity. And you need to practice discernment. And if there's any time during the holiday during your life where discernment is needed, it's during a holiday season. It's understanding your kid's capacity. It's understanding your personal capacity. And this goes back to number 1, which is plan and prioritize. Don't plan a breakfast the day after you all stayed up late at night for a party. Everyone's going to be cranky, including you. But people don't realize that when they're planning it in October or November. They're like, we're going to be fine. This is where not overcommitting, right? This is where keeping white space comes in, where you could take the next day and just veg out. And it's like, great, we have nowhere to be. There has to be moments during the holiday season where you have nowhere to be. There's no commitment. You have nowhere to be. You don't need to show up anywhere. Stay in pajamas all day. But if you did end up making certain commitments, also make sure you could practice that discernment in those moments. So here's what I want to leave you with here today. The holidays are such a beautiful time of creating memories with your children, with your partner, with your colleagues, as a school. It's a massive culture building opportunity. I speak so fondly of the first year. So we moved here in August of 2020, and in September was the high holiday season. And that high holiday season was the time that we really connected and bonded with the people of the community. We were up late at night. We were in the synagogue together, hanging out. The kids were playing like that. I have some of my best memories of that holiday because we really created some deep connections with members. And there are friends, and now there are friends, really good friends. So the holidays is such a beautiful time for creating memories, new experiences, creating new traditions. This is our third high holiday season. This is going to be our third Hanukkah season here in Coral Springs. And I'm excited because we've already created some amazing traditions over the last 2 years. And this will be our third year here, really marking just how far we've come and the beautiful moments that we've created during every holiday that we've celebrated here. And we also want to remember that a big part of looking back fondly of a holiday season is, was I present enough to enjoy what I put on my calendar? Like what I committed to, was I present enough to enjoy it? A couple of hours before our wedding started, so 13 years ago, there was the couple hours before I went down the aisle. And my friend, my really, really good friend, was with me that day. And I was, getting my hair and makeup done. And she got married a couple of months beforehand. And she was sitting next to me and she looked at me and she's like, listen, Khani, if there was one piece of advice I could give you for this special day, is be present. Enjoy every moment. The wedding goes by, it's 5 hours, right? If you think about a wedding, it's 5 hours. And she's like, it goes by in a flash, but are you going to remember that you were present at those moments? And I'm forever grateful for that advice because I really do remember so many very specific moments from that day, which I treasure inside of my heart. The holidays are such a beautiful time. And while the holidays are not a once in a lifetime experience like a wedding, the holidays come every single year. Every year is a chance to renew that beautiful time to be present, to enjoy what it is that you created. So that's what I want to leave you with today. I want to wish you an amazing holiday season. I want to wish you presence of mind, joy, abundance, and really just treasure these special moments with the people that you love. All right. Wishing you all the best. Have a happy holiday season. Thanks for joining me today on the podcast, and we'll see you next time. If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do 2 things for me. 1, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And 2, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us.